Let's get some prize picks in today, guys. Last night's picks went 5-1 and we cashed at 4x. The only thing we missed here was Anthony Rizzo on the demon. He had only one out of the two hits, runs, RBIs. I know this Bankero pick looks like it's a demon. It's just a visual glitch like we saw in last night's video. We took the less 5.5 assists on Bankero's normal prop. And either way, you could see the 4x here, 125 into 500. So this was a 4x, not anything else. I'll be honest though, we did get lucky on Bankero and Wagner. There was a massive blowout and they just did not get as many minutes as they should have. Josh Hart and Embiid absolutely crushed their lines. And then Gleyber Torres did hit the hit runs RBI, but Rizzo could not pull through for us. So overall, we got some forward momentum, 5-1 on last night's picks. Let's try to make it 8-0 today, because tonight I'm actually going to be doing 2 4 powers. So I'm not going to go with the 6 flex tonight, just 2 straight 4 powers. Both the slips are going to be a mix of MLB and NBA. And let's start off with this first one here. We're going to go to hits, runs, RBIs as we normally do. And I'm going to be taking 2 players from Tampa here. We're going to grab Randy on his over hits, runs, RBIs. We're going to be pairing him up with Harold Ramirez on his over 1.5 hits, runs, RBIs. As I say in every video, you want to be grabbing 2 guys from the same team, because if one guy's getting his hits, runs, RBIs, it's likely his teammate is also getting it, especially when they're close to each other in the batting order. In tonight's case, you could actually expect the lineup has Harold Ramirez at the 5th position with Randy batting 2nd. So you could see that there's a bit of a gap between these guys. But honestly, anything between 1 and 3 batters is pretty good. You want to be taking like the 2nd guy with the 7th, for example. That's a bit too far. But 2 and 5 is still fine in terms of correlation. And honestly, as long as everyone is hitting the ball and getting more runs, they're just going to get more at-bats. So there's a lot of ways for these guys to really go over the hits, runs, RBIs. Ramirez doesn't necessarily have to run Randy in, for example, but it could happen, right? Let's say Randy gets on base, strikeout here, Paredes gets the hit, and Randy goes to 2nd, and then Ramirez hits him in, for example. Now, the one problem is this is the only game tonight that might be delayed, but the value is too good that I had to go with it. They are up against the Chicago White Sox tonight. Very favorable matchup here. They are 3-22, the White Sox, and you could see the Rays are favorite at -240, and the team props here expected about 4.5 runs, so 4 to 5 runs for the Tampa Bay Rays. So the more at-bats, the more runs, of course, more opportunities for both Randy and Ramirez to get more hits, runs, and RBIs. But I'm liking, on top of the fact that the Rays should absolutely demolish the White Sox tonight, is that the 2 specific plays we're going for here, so Randy and Ramirez, if we go in and check the player props, on the batter props, you could check the hits, plus runs, plus RBIs. And you're going to see 2 numbers that you really want to see. So you see here on Harold Ramirez, -145 juice on his over 1.5 hits, runs, RBIs, meaning his over is very likely. And then Randy's is at -135. So Randy's a bit less likely to go over his hits, runs, RBIs, at least according to the juice. But they are both good positive expected value plays, hitting at about a 53 to 55% chance on both these guys. So that's why I didn't go with some other players. But I mean, you could go with Paredes here, -130. But as you can see, you might as well go with the higher juice here at -140 from a guy on the same team. And then there's also Richie Palacios here. This is one you would want to stay away from, for example, because his under is actually more likely to hit than his over. So I went with the 2 highest juice players on the Tampa Bay Rays. It's just a very good matchup tonight. If they end up not playing tonight and it ends up being a postponed game, we're just going to get a full refund on the slip, because the next 2 guys I'm grabbing also from the same team. So when these guys DNP, you're going to see you're going to have only 2 guys left from Minnesota, which is going to be the next 2 picks. And you can't just have 2 players from the same team in a specific slip, because it would revert down to a 2 power. And it was going to make sense when I build out the slip. We're going to Naz Reid again on his under 9.5 points. We took this, I believe, this game right here on the under 9.5. We took also Anthony Edwards on the over. That did not hit. Tonight, we're not going with Anthony Edwards. We're going with Jaden McDaniels instead on his over 10.5 points. So exact same concept I'm going with that I went for when I went with Edwards. Essentially, Naz Reid is going to be that 6th man. He gets less minutes when these starters are getting a ton of minutes. There's that correlation between him and the starters. Like you see, we only have 2 teams in the specific lineup. So that's kind of what I was saying. If this guy's DNP, you're only left with the 2 Minnesota players, meaning you'll get a refund. Moving on to why I'm actually liking these Minnesota players. If we go over to the Timberwolves tonight, see the player props on both these guys. Quite a bit of juice on McDaniels here at 10.5. Over to -125. You can even see Mike Conley has juice towards the over at -125. So they're kind of interchangeable, these players here. Not going at Edwards, you can see the juice on the under at -120. And you could also see the juice on Gobert. So Jaden McDaniels is definitely the one I'm kind of preferring tonight. And I'm also liking that Naz Reid does have juice towards his under too here at -120. So we're getting the good direction on Naz Reid on his under. And we're grabbing the good direction on Jaden McDaniels on his over. Plus there's the fact that if Jaden McDaniels is going over his points prop, it's more likely that Naz Reid is going under. So these props play perfectly into each other, assuming you're grabbing them in the correct directions. Now, if we go over to Jaden McDaniels and see how he did last game, 41 minutes with 25 points, 8 rebounds, 3 assists, and shot 17 field goal attempts. You can see in the first game in the series, he only dropped 9 points, still on 38 minutes, so he didn't get the job quite done. But if we go and check Naz Reid, that's actually the game where Naz Reid ended up going over his points prop. He ended up getting 12, and in the game that Jaden McDaniels absolutely crushed, he got less minutes here at 17, and he only got 5 points. So Jaden McDaniels has been putting in the work. I expect him to still see his minutes this high, and Naz Reid has kind of been trailing behind in minutes. I could see him getting 20 or less again tonight, while Jaden McDaniels puts up another 38 plus points. So this is the first full format I'm going to be going with. I'm going to be making another slip on top of this. I'm going to start the second slip off exactly how I started the first one, and we're going over to the New York Mets this time. We're grabbing Nimmo here on his over 1.5 hits, runs, RBIs, and of course we're pairing him up with another player from the Mets. That's going to be Marte on his over 1.5 hits, runs, RBIs once again. If you go and check the lineup, these guys are much closer to each other in lineup, or at least in the expected lineup. We see Nimmo at the 1 and Marte at the second batting position. Like I said, as long as there are 1 to 3 batters between each other, you're going to see a stronger correlation between the players. Of course, if Nimmo's getting on base, Marte could easily also get on base. Maybe Lindor runs them both in, and then you get that hit, run, RBI cashed within a single inning. Also, if we check the juice on both these players once again, like we did for the Rays, you can see Nimmo here at minus 130 juice towards the over, and then Marte is also minus 130 juice towards the over. So these picks are a bit worse than the Tampa Bay Rays picks, which is why I said we have to play the Rays even if the game might be delayed, because we're getting amazing value on both those plays. This stack is a close second, but I'm liking the Rays one a little bit better. Let's move on to the NBA now and go over to this popular tab, and the play I'm liking from here is Zubats here on his less than 10.5 rebounds. I know you guys are all jamming the over 10.5. How many of you? 25,000 of you right now are on his over. The play is on the under, and I'm going to show you exactly why. It doesn't really matter that he got 12 and 15 in the past 2 games. We're going to go over to a sports book, and we're going to check the juice on Zubats here. We're going to check his rebounds, and you're going to see his rebounds prop is actually juiced towards the under at minus 125. What does that mean now? If I want to put money down and make $100 profit, I have to bet $125 on his under to profit $100. You can see my return is 225, meaning I'm profiting 100. Now, if I want that same payout on his over rebounds, I only have to wager $105 to get back $205, giving me that profit of 100. Now, what does that mean? They're saying the under is more expensive for me to take. I have to pay more to get the same reward as the over, because the under is actually the more likely outcome. So they can't pay me as much as the over because it's going to happen more often, meaning they're going to lose money if they give me good value on this under rebounds. Bet365 is not the only sportsbook that says the juice is towards the under, or that it's the more likely outcome. If you go over to DraftKings, you could see they have them at minus 125 again, and they're giving you plus money on the over 10.5. Let's go over to Pinnacle as a last example. They're giving you plus 110 on his over 10.5 rebounds. Under 10.5 is juiced to minus 147. On this side, I have to lay down $147 to win $100. On his under, I only have to put about $90 down to get that same reward. Are you guys seeing what I'm saying right now? I'm not really saying his under is going to hit. I'm saying it's more likely to hit, and you're getting a bad price on Prizepicks compared to any other sportsbook when you go and take this at plus money. And I'll prove that to you right now. If I go take Zubats on his over 10.5 rebounds, and let's take this other Rudy Gobert pick. I'm sure you guys are all over this over too, because he cashed this in the past 5, and everyone is on this. 27,000 of you. On a $100 fee, this 2-man is paying you $300. If we go make that exact same slip on a sports book, you're going to see I'm going to take Zubats at his over 10.5 rebounds at minus 105, and I'm going to be combining this with Rudy Gobert on his over 27.5 points, rebounds, plus assists. Look how much my payout gets boosted here. So 100 into 365. I'm getting $65 extra if I'm playing this exact slip on a sportsbook. You're literally getting scammed because you're paying a way more expensive price than you should be getting anywhere else. And I know some of you don't have access to sportsbooks, but it's just to drill the point home that why would you be playing something that is more expensive on another app? Obviously, stay away from the prop or go with the under, which is definitely the better choice, at least in the long run. Don't come back to this video and say, oh, Zubats missed tonight. Yes, I'm talking in the long run. I'm not talking a single night. If you grab props like this in the wrong direction over and over and over, you're going to lose money in the long run. I'm talking over months and months and months. And again, it's all in the pricing. 100 into 300 here. The exact same 2 props here give me 100 into 365. On a sportsbook, you're literally shortchanging yourself. So Zubats under 10.5 rebounds is going to be that third pick. And you could see I even have him flagged here on the OddsJuice dashboard, under 10.5 rebounds at minus 125, or about a 55.56% chance that he goes under that prop. Now, the last prop I'm going to go with is going to be Obi Toppin on his over 7.5 points. This pick is the top of the dashboard on the NBA right now. 56.33% chance that Obi Toppin goes over his 7.5 points tonight. He hit this in one of the 2 games. The second game is the one he hit it in. And you can see here in his game log, he got many more minutes in the second game than in the first game. So if we hover around that 15 to 20 minute mark, again, he could easily cash this over 7.5 points prop. And you can see in the rest of the games versus the Bucks this season where he did clock in at that 20-minute mark. He only missed in this one game where he got 5 points. Then there's also this game all the way at the bottom where he dropped 7 points in 13 minutes. So overall, the juice points towards the over as well as his potential points on some higher minutes. So this is going to be the second format. Let's try to cash one of these. And if you need any bump replacements, here is a full list. You got Miles Turner under points and just whoever else you want. Just pause this video and grab any of these guys to replace any bumps that occur. Let's get it, guys.